Joe Esch.
Thank you, Melissa. Oh, that makes me the fork or a spoon. I will try to stand. Good evening. Thank you for coming this evening. As Melissa said, my name is Joe Esch. I'm with Wallace & Jelly Development Partners. Our firm is a real estate development company. Presently, we have 22 different assets we own and have developed or are developing. Includes things from raw land that we're developing in single-family lot developments. We have mixed-use developments. We have office developments. We have Waco Town Square. Our focus is working toward public-private partnerships. I guess I should have added, we also have memory care and some assisted living facility development in Missouri City. A wide variety of development in our portfolio, a wide variety of experience. One of the areas of focus is public-private partnerships. My area of focus in the company, that's what I do for my background. I have about 20 years of experience in economic development. I started in economic development in North Dakota, which is a far cry from Texas. It certainly is a little bit more sparse. It has 600,000 people, 635,000 people in the entire state. And when I moved to Fort Bend County, that's about how many they have in the county now, outside of Houston area. Anyhow, in 1999, I joined the city of Sugar Land as the first economic development director starting the program. From there, I took on a role as an executive director, essentially the assistant city manager, had the Sugar Land Regional Airport, Parks and Recreation, had worked with the, started their intergovernmental relations, their lobbying efforts, and also started the transportation planning. While with the city of Sugar Land, that's where I met Dave Wallace. Dave was on the city commission, city council for, so let me turn around. I was called city council here, and now I'm calling him city commission. Anyhow, Dave was on city council for a year and then was a 3-term mayor. And during that time, we worked on a wide variety of projects in the city of Sugar Land. I'm going to give you some examples of those. Our firm approaches things from both the public sector and the private sector. And public-private partnerships is really something that can work. Now, when people think of it, this is an example of how a public-private partnership does not work. I hit the down button. Anyhow, when people think of public-private partnerships, they think of a number of things. One, they think of the idea that the public sector is being gypped, that the private sector is being taken advantage of, and that what's happening is the developer's getting rich on the back of the public. The next thing that they think is that there's no money or nothing left for the public. I'm not going to tell you that that doesn't happen, because it does. It does happen in some communities. But it shouldn't happen in communities if you have the right partner. Our view is a public-private partnerships makes good deals possible. To do them, and to do them right, both sides, both the public and the private sector, have to get something out of it. Either side should go into a public-private partnership with the idea that it's about only themselves or only the other side is not important to them. If you do that, you shouldn't go into it. A public-private partnership will not make a bad deal a good deal. It can make a good deal possible. When you think of it, and when we used to look into things at the city of Sugar Land, we decided to define our own destiny. We looked at it and we said, what is it we want to be when we grow up? And we looked at the land that was available. We looked at the things that were not happening in our community. And we reached out and we said, okay, we're going to take a different approach. We're going to take a business approach to government. We're going to say we'd like to have a mall. First Colony Mall, which now exists in the city of Sugar Land, didn't get built without the city. And I've said this in every, and Commissioner, I'm sorry you've joined us for 4 out of the last 5, so you've heard this and I'm sure you're tired of hearing it, but there was a sign up that said mall coming soon. And that sign would be there, and the mall didn't come, and the post would run off, and the sign would fall down, and they put up another sign. Mall coming soon. The mall did not come until the city put $15 million into the investment of that mall coming to the area. When they did that, they were able to attract a mall developer to the area. The first year that mall was open, it generated $5 million, a little over $5.5 million, of new sales tax revenue back to the city of Sugar Land. Badly going? That's not good. So much for the partnership. Yeah, it's all about you. See, this is the thing about a good and a bad public-private partnership. Here I am to share, and it's all about one side. Don't worry about it. It's all good. Actually, after 5 of these, I wake up in the morning speaking. So I'm just to press a button and I'm on that. Anyhow, if the mall project returned $5 million to the city of Sugar Land, I don't care what kind of investment you're looking at, that means in 3 years the city was paid back. And that spurred growth and development around the area. Where there was not retail, it was a catalyst project. Now the city of Sugar Land has over 5 million square feet of retail space. It spurred development around the community. It allowed us to do other things. In the city of Sugar Land is about 180 years old, essentially. Its genesis comes back from the 1820s, 1830s. When folks came over from Cuba and they planted sugar cane in the area, they went back, and they came back again, and they went, hey, this stuff's growing, we might be able to do something with it. That started a sugar company, and over time, that sugar company ended up being Imperial Sugar. And as Imperial Sugar, it became a company town. It started to grow. In the 1920s, the really things started to expand. And in 1959, the city of Sugar Land was incorporated. When it was incorporated, it was a company town, but everything was still right around that area. Over time, the company town, they tore down the buildings. So our city hall was actually in the business park. The city wanted to build a new downtown. And I had some great pictures that my partner was going to help me show. But anyhow, Sugar Land Town Square was a place, a 32-acre development, where City Hall was going to go. And just like the opportunities we have here, there were different areas of the community that had different ideas about what was the best thing to have happen. They had different views, and the reason is you were changing the reality. Those people who had been in Sugar Land forever, they saw that the town square, that the City Hall should be in that area. The people, but there wasn't, unlike this location where there is a downtown to build upon, we didn't have one. So where could we build that? So through planning and consensus and community meetings like what we're having tonight, we went forward with a project. Sugar Land Town Square is a 32-acre development. It has an 80,000 square foot city hall. It has over 500,000 square feet of Class A office space. It has over 250,000 square feet of retail, store retail, which is like on-street retail. It has a 300-room Marriott hotel with a 60,000 square foot conference center, and it has 167 residential units that serve that retail. The opportunities for that project moving forward were based on the city being able to move with the hotel. The hotel was the linchpin. From that allowed us to develop the project. And there were concerns. There were people out in the community that would tell us, it's never going to happen. And you may have heard this, but it's hot in Houston in the summertime. And it's sticky in Houston in the summertime. And people will never sit outside. And on those pictures I was going to show you, that would show you some people sitting outside in Sugar Land Town Square, because it really became a focal point. There was a 1.2-acre plaza right out in front of City Hall, and it became a focal point for the community where you had movies under the moon, you had Sugar Land Superstar. Events were programmed in that to bring people. It became a gathering point, where previously the views of the city were about the old city, the char house, in the industrial plant for Imperial Sugar, the Pink Lady as it was called. The new icon became Sugar Land Town Square. Became the statue that was out front. All the opportunities to grow the community. That allowed us to do other things. Because we had Sugar Land Town Square, and because we defined our future from an economic development perspective, we're able to recruit the headquarters of Minute Maid, the worldwide headquarters of Minute Maid, to Sugar Land Town Square. It is the only division of Coca-Cola that is outside Atlanta. And they were looking to move, and they were looking to move back to Atlanta. But we actually were able to recruit them because we provided an environment where their people could work, shop, play, live, invest, learn, all types of things.
Okay, Robert.
That's the experience we have from the public side. And we took that investment from the public side and said, how do we mitigate our risk? We put performance criteria in so that if the private sector was going to receive incentives to make this project happen, there had to be certain investments that they had to make. They had to meet certain thresholds to be able to qualify for the investment. We want to make sure we mitigate their risk. I'm not here to tell you that there isn't risk in everything we do, but I am here to tell you that you mitigate that risk through sound fundamental principles of business and by having a partner on the private side that understands that if they say something, they need to back it up in the agreements. Fast forward, or reverse, on the private side, Dave Wallace, when he was mayor of the city of Sherman, was giving a speech in the city of Waco on water and wastewater. I'm sure it was just a tremendously riveting subject. As you came out from the convention center there in Waco, he was walking out with the mayor of Waco at that time. And he looked out and he saw, I don't know how many folks have been to Waco, but at that time, it was 2003 time frame. There was boards along many of the windows in the buildings, and it was just a dilapidated area. There was a lot of vacant space. Many of the buildings had been torn down, had been actually destroyed in the tornado of 1953. Because Dave said, well, okay, what happened here? And the mayor said, well, that's what happened. This tornado came through, killed a couple hundred people, and they're starting the exodus to the other areas of the community. People didn't rebuild. The city started to own more and more land through tax foreclosures and other things. And so downtown became a no man's land. If you were an incoming freshman at Baylor, there was an unwritten rule that thou shalt not go west of I-35. You will get robbed, you will get mugged, nasty things will happen to you in downtown Waco. But there's a funny thing about crime against people. You have to have people. And there was nobody down there. There really was nobody even living downtown. There was about 50 total residents downtown, not dissimilar to what you experience here. So the city leased land to our firm, 5 acres for 80 years at $10 a year. That's not the real cost to us, because essentially the city had land that it was maintaining, that it had to take care of, that it owned, that it got no tax revenue on for years and years and years, and there was no activity, no sales taxes, no property taxes, nothing was coming in downtown. We came back with a plan, because Dave said, I'll tell you what, when the mayor asked him, what would you do here? You're a mayor of a fast-growing town. I'll come back in 30 days, and I'll come back with a plan. He provided the plan, they leased us the land, and we invested, as a company, $80 million in downtown Waco. That opportunity allowed us to create a location that had shops, it had cafes, it had office space. The office space is now full. Melissa mentioned the additional investment. Downtown has now become a place, an attraction in Waco. Now, where there were only 50 residents downtown, there are now over 600 just in the assets that we own alone. We have student housing assets. We built loft over retail. We built a number of things in the area. So from the private side and the public side, those are two examples of public-private partnerships that were structured such that they would benefit both parties. A lot of people wonder why a community should invest in a project. It's a private venture. The private sector should do it. And a good question was asked of the mayor of Waco when Dave came forward. He said, why are you helping this developer, providing them acreage of land, 5 acres versus 5 city blocks of land for $10 a year? And the response of the mayor was, look, y'all had 50 years to get it done, and nothing happened. They're willing to come in with capital, and all we need to do is partner with it. Our risk is minimal. Let's give them a shot. Let's look at what can happen. And so the proof is definitely in the pudding.